Hello, everybody. Welcome to Midnight Radio. I am your host, Jerry Adams. Whether you're watching or you're listening, we're live right now, and we are here to talk about the Idaho 4 case. Apparently, there's been an ID that was found, as reported by NewsNation, that they have exclusive sources which they will never reveal. That there was an ID found of one of the murder victims inside of Brian Kohberger's residence. We're going to talk about this tonight. And also, we're going to talk about Stephensmith trial. We have some new information on that. Some information coming straight from his mother.
There is also...
Oh, hold on, Ashley. I'm going to get to you in a minute. I like that white top. All right. And we just have, we have one police officer who shot a sergeant, said he's worried about, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Felon faces federal charges after music videos of illegal activities. I don't know, we got that and a lot more tonight. Let me go ahead and start. All right. I'm going to play this first bit. This is by Ashley Banfield. It's your girl Banfield, but I might not play the whole thing because I don't want to go over the Braley Giglio issue. I want to go over the fact of what they were saying about the DNA testing. I want to go over that one more time.
There is also this incredible reporting that the knife sheath that was found at 1122 King Road, up on Maddie Mogan's bed beside the bodies of Maddie Mogan and Kaylee Gonzalez, that knife sheath that was left behind with the trace DNA, apparently sent out of state to...
All right. There's a lot of ignorant reporting going on here, and I don't mean that to be rude. It's okay to be ignorant. Let me tell you something. We did an interview the other day with Mark Sargent. He is one of the major proponents of the flat earth theory. And let me tell you, here's an example of ignorance. It's either him or someone who doesn't believe in flat earth. And we had the round earth theory a couple nights before that. The round earth. We had the hollow earth theory before that. One of them's ignorant. Ignorant means there's information that you don't have. Both of them can't be right. There's people that worship the devil. There's people that worship God. One of them's ignorant. It's just something that they don't have because both of them can't be right. Although some of those who are Satanists might disagree with that. You know, they know they're wrong and they like it. Some people. But that's fine. But in this case, this is just a pure old-fashioned case of ignorance. So the sheath is getting sent out of state. So what? And she's going to talk about the DNA startup company right now.
A startup in order to process.
Let me tell you something. I know about this technology. It's a brand new technology. The reason why it's a startup is because it's a new technology. It's a new method. It's not just DNA testing. It's heretical DNA testing. Being able to find you out of... someone in your lineage, aunt or uncle, a cousin or brother, a sister, not directly you, and using just trace amounts of DNA. This is brand new. Of course, this technology is not only does it have to deal with DNA, but also has to do with databases that didn't exist before. 23andMe, people sending their DNA in voluntarily to get matches for things. You know, those who weren't in the military, those who weren't in prison, had your DNA taken before, people who hadn't had their DNA tests done to see who the baby daddy is. They want to know what their heritage are. They sent that DNA off. It's being kept on file, and they're able to do something with it. Now, just because it's a startup company, it doesn't mean that it's not good science, all right? This is ignorance on Ashley's part, the way she deals with it here. But, you know, it could have very well, she realized a mistake afterwards. Again, these are live broadcasts. It's not like I've never made a mistake, right? You know, except the difference with me is I come back and say, hey, guess what I did? And this is the real information. You know, network news, they're not going to do that because, you know, you don't have to. As a matter of fact, she does more than I do when she goes on her Facebook and Twitter and argues with people. You know, why do that? Why I don't argue with anybody. I don't like it. So we're going to continue what she says. I'm not going to play this whole thing because they're going to get into the Brady gigolo issue that I'm not going to talk about. But there's a lot of people that are having a hard time with this sheath, saying that such a minute bit of DNA on there, it almost seems like it's planted. Some people think that.
Don't know if that means the lab in Idaho, the state lab, wasn't good enough.
It means it's a technology that only exists proprietary in this place out of state. That's what that means, Ashley. And you know what? It's usually by a scientist that is in the business, and he comes up with this technique, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to take this off somewhere else by myself. Or it could have been a grad student that came up with a new way because he had time, and that's what he did. It doesn't mean anything other than that.
But that's where it went to identify. This is a really good time to bring in Mark O'Mara, criminal defense attorney, civil rights attorney, smartest person I know in the law. I am curious right away, Mark.
All right.
Before I even get to the document stuff.
So I'm not going to play any more than that because that's all she says. That's all she says. It's worth anything because we've seen. Wait a second. Who the hell is this guy?
About that knife sheath.
I was expecting that big dude that always talks over. Who the hell is this guy?
Because all I can think of is the defense attorney saying, wait, the state of Idaho you couldn't do the job of finding any DNA on that knife sheath? You had to send it, outsource it?
Oh, God, the ignorance. It's giving me a headache. It's like a brain freeze. It's like a brain dry.
Does that mean that's going to be litigated and fought and contested and diminished by a defense attorney at trial?
Absolutely, because again, defense attorneys look wherever they can find to find a potential of reasonable doubt. And when there is a test, either that they have to do unique, they have to go out of state, they have to do it a second or third time, or it's inconclusive.
Oh, gosh. Oh, my, I'm having a hemorrhage in my head. I really, man, I need some of this e-juice. Oh, if you haven't noticed, I'm wearing a Midnight Radio shirt. Oh, what's that? Oh, what does that mean? It means our store's about to open, guys. Look. Na 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 na. Look, you can actually have the show done by the Radiohead. Maybe I should just do the show like this from now on. Na 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 na. MidnightRad.io. The shop will be opening soon. Just waiting for my tax info to go through. All right. What the hell are we talking about anyway? Oh, yeah. The ignorance of this. Okay, so here's what is going to happen in trial. Who the hell is this? Because criminal defense and civil rights attorney, he didn't know what the hell he's talking about, and I'll tell you why. Because this is a startup company this man knows nothing about. I've seen this information about this company before. He doesn't know anything about it. He does not know how it's going to be presented in court before because it hasn't been. But technology like this has come in court before. So what do? They talk about the percentage of chance of that not being a relative. And we're talking specifically about the DNA taken from the garbage of the parents matched to the knife sheath because that's the way they did it. They're going to talk about the percentage of likelihood that that's wrong. And it's like 1 grain of sand, like 1 in 5 trillion or something like that is what they're going to come up with. And they're going to show or convince the jury or the judge, whichever they have in this case, the validity of those numbers. And again, it's not up to reality. It has not a damn thing to do with facts. This is what I'm trying to teach everybody here. I'm trying to teach people this. It doesn't have to do with facts. Okay? Some of you learned that from the Murdaugh trial and weren't happy about it. It has to do with the power of persuasion. This is why I have people that are round earth. This is why I have people who are hollow earth. This is why I have people with flat earth. It ain't about what's going on with the earth. I could give a care less if it's parked up my anus or your anus. It doesn't matter. The fact is about the persuasion of speech, and that is what's going to happen in that trial, is can they persuade a judge, can they persuade a jury beyond a reasonable doubt that he did it based on their power of persuasion. It doesn't even have to be the facts. The likelihood of, all right? So let's talk about the knife sheath again. So where's the picture of the knife sheath? Because I don't need to look at this guy's face. Okay, the knife sheath. I've seen it in many defense trials before talking about that this didn't exist. Where did this piece of evidence come from? And there's a possibility. Is there a possibility it was planted? All right. Now we're talking about that Brady Giglia issue, which is something they're going to talk about here. And they were talking about the likelihood that one of the police officers was involved in something that they shouldn't have been involved with, whether they faked information, whether they lied about it, whatever it is. Well, you guys have evidence of departmental wrongdoing here. Well, what is the likelihood of somebody planting this evidence? What is the likelihood, ladies and gentlemen? Persuasion, not facts. What is the likelihood? That's why they have different experts on different sides, on the state and the defense. They have different experts, and they're saying different things because that's what they're paid to do, and they know that. It's not supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be their professional opinion, but it's not. They know who to hire that's going to give them the results they want. It's about persuasion, and that's it. And we're going to go into that, nothing more than in this next part. It's also about the Idaho 4, the power of persuasion. The power of persuasion. Think about this. And we're all sure that they have more evidence, and we're sure we're actually going to know more of it once the trial comes out. But this part kind of pisses me off, and I'm going to tell you what it is. The part that upsets me is the trickling out of the information, the way they're doing it. And I think it's happening from the state. I think they're trickling it out. They're keeping it in the public eye. And it's not that they don't want you to have the information. It's that they want to be in control of it. And they want to keep hyping it up. And nothing is a better example than this right here.
Here to help break down these developments is former FBI Special Agent Stuart Kaplan. Stuart, it's good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Good to see you. Thank you, Natasha.
And so I do want to ask what your thoughts are around this ID connected with someone in that Moscow home in Idaho being found in Kohberger's property. How big of a deal is this?
Well, there are two explanations. I think the latter is he grabbed something on his way out in his twisted way or in his twisted mind as more of a trophy type of thing to take with him, or the more sinister and the more concerning aspect, would he have possibly entered into this home at some earlier time and date and grab something unknown to any of the occupants of the house, and that is something that he had on his person or had in his possessions before the date of carrying out these murders.
How common is that kind of trophy behavior in killers?
Very, very common, especially when you are talking about someone who may be more leaning towards the serial type of killer. I know through my sources they are working very hard now to make a determination as to whether or not Brian Kohberger is responsible for other unsolved or cold case murders. So it is very common with respect to someone who has this type of fetish with respect to stalking these type of individuals and then carrying out these heinous acts to kind of retrieve something as a token of his dominance. The retrieval of someone's property is more of a dominance in their twisted mind to say that I've won because I have something that belonged to you.
And let's talk more about that, because as you said, we are learning that Pennsylvania police are investigating Kohberger for possible involvement in other crimes. Is this common?
This is something they've been doing from the beginning. They've been talking about before. They were talking about investigating for other crimes. Right at the point they arrested him, they said, we're going to start investigating for other crimes. Or we keep talking about it like it's a new thing, but it's not. Now, did they really find an ID from one of the victims? Did they really? Is this real information? We don't know. It can't be verified. It can't be verified right now because it can't be. It's just hearsay. All right? Just because NewsNation, the Enquirer, just because the National Enquirer says Bat Boy is real, it doesn't mean he's real. Matter of fact, if you guys remember National Enquirer when they were talking about Bat Boy, and for those of you that don't remember what I'm talking about, I'll look it up right here. Let me show you something. National Enquirer Bat Boy. All right. It's real famous, man. Real famous. And, man, it's a beautiful thing, because it's the same thing. Hell, he looks just like Kohberger. Look at Bat Boy here. All right. Now, let me show you something. Old Bat Boy's found in a cave. All right. Now, they had more information about Bat Boy. We don't need to E-Trade. No. They had more information about Bat Boy in the National Enquirer than NewsNation can have backing information about what they say, whether it's an ID or whether it is any damn thing. They never give a source. Hell, Weekly World News talked about Bat Boy, and hell, at least they gave a source.
For high-profile murder suspects. And would you be surprised if something did turn up?
I'm not going to be surprised if something else turns up. I think what had always been a concern to the law enforcement community is the number of victims and the brutality in which these murders were carried out. I think it's just not consistent with someone who would have gotten up on some particular day for the first time and then decided to carry out a murder. This person obviously had to have had some sort of planning and plotting.
He had to have one of the worst cases of dumbass I've ever seen an individual have. I mean, it's like my father used to always say, if there's dumbass raining in somebody's life, it's not a light sprinkle, it's a damn hurricane. This is what we have. We have a 50-gallon barrel of dumbass.
And some sort of mental defect, certainly at the time, carrying out this type of horrific.
Why can't we call it for what it is? Dumbass.
Quadruple homicide. And I think the law enforcement community, the investigation has really ironically taken off and has accelerated since the date of the apprehension. Now, law enforcement in connection with this case did an incredible job with respect.
All right, here's a great point from the chat room right here. So my question, was he just kind of invisible before all this, or just so invisible nobody noticed him doing bad things? Even several of the serial killers had criminal records for various things. That's true. Or even did bad things in the past. Let's look at Ted Bundy, for example. There were several things that he did. I mean, they traced his first killing back to a girl that disappeared in his neighborhood when he was a teenager. And they think that he might have had something to do with that. BK, yeah, it should is BK. Nothing Burger. They look back at him, and they don't have anything that happened. But wait, Mr. Ellis, NewsNation is unbiased, fact-driven reporting. That's funny you say that, because I was watching a clip right before the show that said that from Cuomo. Cuomo said that. All right. They don't have anything of him, but wait a second. He did have trouble with heroin in high school, and heroin isn't exactly legal, so it's illegal. So to say he never broke the law would not be true. To say he didn't get convicted would be true. And there's a lot of stuff we just do not know right now. Do not know.
leading up to the apprehension of Brian Kohberger, but it has really, from my sources, accelerated with respect to making a determination as to whether or not he may have been responsible for other murders closer to where he resided with his parents.
And we are also learning that Kohberger allegedly cyberstalked one of the victims from the Moscow, Idaho home. And of course, they're looking at his phones, looking at potentially images of the victims that he had stored on his phone. Help explain to us, because, you know, Kohberger had training in this area. If he did commit this crime, why would he keep a trophy or an ID that clearly connects him to one?
Because he's a dumbass. If he wasn't a dumbass, he wouldn't have did what he did. He's absolutely and completely a dumbass. Oh, I'm sorry. You were asking this guy. I'm telling you, what I'm going to say is better.
One of the victims. Why would he not wipe his phone of images of the people that he allegedly killed?
Well, to your last point, you know, the technology is advanced, and certainly in the technology with respect to the FBI and on the level of technology that has been developed by the FBI and in partnership with various technology companies, it is almost virtually impossible to thoroughly scrub and delete any of your social media platforms, whether it's photographs, text messages, Snapchat, or otherwise. And that's just the reality. The technology that law enforcement now has is able to...
This guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. He's just talking in generalities. So let's talk about this. How could these things still exist if he was so damn smart? And the reason is this. All right. If you'll notice, when we went through all the paperwork, we're looking through the affidavits. This is why everywhere around Kohberger and that his phone physically was, they looked at the towers, because information about what he was doing is on the towers. All right. It doesn't matter if you take your phone, you wipe your phone, you break your phone. What you were doing is still on the tower. Did you guys know that? They don't want you to know that. They want you to think it's all on your phone. But if you did it at all, there's a record of it. I mean, there's certain ways to get around that, but mainly not. You would have to be way more advanced than him. I wish they would give it a rest and just play it out in court. If all this stuff isn't true and doesn't come up at trial, I would vote not guilty if I was on the jury. It's a good point.
Dive back in and be able to retrieve certain footprints that will then be able to reveal what you thought at the time you deleted, whether it's a text message, a photograph, or some other form of communication. And I think that given that the FBI has been able to assist local and state law enforcement in this.
Cops think Kohberger cyberstalked Moscow home resident. This is talking about him following one of them and being in her inbox. All right. But this is mixed in with them finding an ID at his place. And how do we even know that? Because it was released through the court. Somehow, somebody in the prosecutor's office leaked it. That is the only way for that to get out. If it did get out, if it's not completely made up.
This particular case has been a treasure trove to open up and expand the breadth of this investigation. Now, with respect to whether or not Brian Kohberger, I think
somebody's asking, what? On the towers? Yes. Yes. Everything you do on your phone, every single thing you do goes through the packets go through the tower to you. It makes a copy of everything you do. Everything you do, there's a backup. Not for you, for them. There's like 3 backups. If you have an iPhone, then Apple has a backup. Did you know that? Apple has everything you looked at. Every dirty little picture you looked at night, or that you slipped in someone's DMs if you shouldn't, whatever you did, they know. All right? That's Apple that knows. There's a copy of it on your phone. It'd be real hard for you to delete it, physically delete it. I mean, you could take your phone, put it in a grinder, or catch it on fire. That'd get rid of it from your phone, but they still have it, and they have it on the tower too. A complete copy of the packets, everything. All right, and that's not even talking about how in America there's a copy of everything anyway by the government.
think his arrogance.
Laura's doomed.
I think there's a obvious degree of arrogance. That
I don't know how it is in Ireland, so maybe it's all good. Maybe it's all good in Ireland.
This defendant.
I'm sorry. Maybe it's all good in Northern Ireland.
And has with respect to thinking that he's better and dominant of those people.
All right, so this is another reason this upsets me. All right, I'll tell you guys. So we are thinking the ID will show premeditation. I don't imagine he grabbed it at the night of the killings. Okay, here's the deal. All right, here's what's making me upset about this information being leaked, okay? It's easy, so damn easy. If it's true, all right, if one of those kids was losing their ID card, their driver's license, don't you think they would have got another one? And we don't even know if it's a driver's license ID card, if it's a school ID card. Chances are they would have had to have gotten another one, and we would have known when it went missing. All right? Where's that information? No? Because I don't know. Is it true? I don't know. Yeah, and the NSA, they have a copy of everything, too. All right, Jerry, you could have the perfect amount of intelligence and humor in your show. I admire that. Thank you for your hard work and great info, as well as making me smile and laugh. You're welcome. Lucky them to know me, honestly. So are we thinking the idea? Okay, yeah, there's somebody knows already. They know already, and they're dribbling it out for some reason. If I was in the defense, it would make me mad. Who is leaking this information? All right. And if the information isn't being leaked out, then could charges be filed against NewsNation for completely and utterly lying? I mean, this is as bad as Bat Boy and saying it's real news, or War of the Worlds. What's the penalty for lying? But if it's true, then they can't be charged, for lying. Somebody's saying, I put my phone on airplane mode and I was able to see my Google Maps following me. Oh, no, not talking about that. I'm not talking about the FBI having your data on towers. I'm talking about the companies having your data on towers. The FBI doesn't have, I don't think the FBI has your data.
I think that's his modus operandi, where he has a dominance feeling that he is stronger and more powerful and smarter. But ultimately, I think it showed that he was not stronger or more powerful or smarter, because law enforcement quickly was right on the heels and obviously led to his apprehension. And I think ultimately this thing is going to explode with respect to potentially other crimes being charged against him with respect to holding him responsible for other victims.
Thank you for watching. Go to NewsNation.
Thank you, Ashley. That was very... Oh, you're not Ashley. What the hell? Where'd Ashley go? She must have took the night off again. She went to go buy some more white blouses. All right, guys. I got some more information on the Stephen Smith investigation. I got this from his mother, no doubt. And yes, I am drinking my favorite beverage of Pellegrino water. Someone sent me an article saying it has graphite in it. Well, doesn't the dirt that we all breathe? Where I am, the Badlands of Texas, we breathe dirt much of the time. So, check this out. Let me show you something. I saw this, and, I'm kind of shocked. I put a video up on YouTube in my videos there, and I had the interview of Mark Bickard. We talked about it. It wasn't released. It got released on one of my off days. So I got the audio of it, and I cleaned it up really well. It's like you're in the room with Mark. It's that well. And the copy I got was really crap. And I'm surprised more people haven't listened to it or viewed it, All right. I got a lot of emails, a few emails and comments about it. People just didn't get it. Why is this important? And I understand, because I put it out and I didn't talk about it. It's not like I sit here and played it and stopped and talked about it, because that would have been important. It is very damn important. Very, 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 very important. And someone said, well, is what Mark Bickard's saying even true? And I will tell you this, what Mark Bickard was saying, and if you guys haven't seen that interview, it's Sled interviewing Mark Bickard, and look at my videos, all right? Watch it. It's important, because what Mark Bickard was saying was true to him. And it's true also to the police that were investigating. Let me tell you something. This has been known for a while. I'm sure some of you guys have heard this before. If you don't believe me, look at the movie on Netflix about Jeffrey Dahmer. When there's escorting involved, homosexuality in escorting, and this has nothing to do with gay rights or what do you call it? It has nothing to do with gay rights and nothing to do with transgenderism. It doesn't have anything to do with bias. They tend to not investigate those as hard. Why? Because there are a lot of people involved, and they don't. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not at all. That's their thing, not mine. But if you look at that, that's what Mark was implying was going on, whether it was or not. He was saying that that kind of lifestyle is what Stephensmith lived, okay? And this is also important. Mark Bickard said that he moved down there for a romantic relationship with Stephensmith 2 weeks before the death, all right? And 2 weeks before the death, his family, this is all unrelated, his family said that he wasn't studying as hard as he was in school anymore, all right? Why do you think that is? One, I think because of Mark Bickard. He was spending a lot of time with Mark Bickard in those 2 weeks. Now, also, this is something important. Listen to what Mark Bickard is saying. I read all of his Facebook, and it was awful hard. And then after I looked at that interview, I felt bad because the man didn't graduate high school. He can barely read and write, and he was grieving at the time, so that would have been harder for him to write. But I read it as he wrote it. And he was talking about problems with the sister and problems with the mother. He'd only been there 2 weeks. And he told the police officers, the detectives that were interviewing him, what he thought about the family. And he told everybody what he thought there on Facebook. And he didn't think very highly. And he told everybody on that tape that listened what he thought, what Stephen told him about the parents, about the mother and the sister. Oh, they're no good. Oh, you don't want to go see them. They don't like you. You see what I'm saying? He did not want to bring Mark home. He didn't want to bring Mark home to meet his mother. All right? He wanted to keep that part separate for whatever reason. This is a fact. Why, I don't know. I assumed that he was going to break it off with Mark. It was a lot more true to Mark than it was for him. All right? The things that it looks, all right, that Stephen was saying to Mark were things to keep him away. And we can see why. It seems like Stephensmith could have did a lot better than Mark Bickard. And why they even had a relationship, I don't know, but that's not for me to know or to judge. But what Mark said was important. It showed me why the police weren't investigating it anymore. Why Mark was blaming the family, and because of the bad things Stephen said about them, to keep Mark away. And it also shows why the mother never pointed any finger at Mark. All right? All that's kind of a distraction from that and the facts. All right? Let me show you this. This is a mother. All right? And this started to make more sense to me after I watched this.
Randy Murdoch's calling. He said Randy wants.
Let me restart that so you can get
Randy Murdoch's calling. He said Randy wants to take Stephen's case pro bono, and I was like, what case? Because they said it was a hit and run.
Did you think that call from Randy Murdoch was strange?
Yes, it made no sense to me.
Yeah, and
really, there was no case there yet.
Yeah, you didn't know it was a case yet.
And his law office has said that he didn't know Stephen had died until after the funeral.
Excuse me, but Alex Murdoch and Randy Murdoch were standing at the crime scene.
Oh, wow.
Alex and Randy.
They were at the crime scene after Stephen's body was moved. Randy Murdoch called and asked, was that you that just passed by? I said, yeah. He said, I wish you would have stopped so I could have met you.
Wow.
At the crime scene.
At the crime scene.
His office says that he never offered to represent the family in any way.
Well, if you can believe anything a Murdaugh says, Randy Murdaugh's call.
All right, I'm gonna watch it one more
Randy
time.
wants to take Stephen's case pro bono, and I was like, what case? Because they said it was a hit and run.
Did you think that call from Randy Murdaugh was strange?
Yes, it made no sense to me.
Yeah, and
I mean, really, there was no case there yet.
Yeah, you didn't know it was a case yet.
And his law office has said that he didn't know Stephen had died until after the funeral.
Excuse me, but
I mean, she knows she was there.
Alex Murdaugh and Randy Murdaugh were standing at the crime scene.
Oh, wow.
They were at the crime scene after Stephen's body was moved. Randy Murdaugh called and asked, was that you that just passed by? I said, yeah. He said, I wish you would have stopped so I could have met you.
Wow.
At the crime scene.
At the crime scene.
His office says that he never offered to represent the family in any way. But.
Well, if you can believe anything a Murdaugh says.
All right. I got a story on this. It just keeps going and going and going and going and going and going as it continues here. There we go. All righty then. All right, there he is. There's the man of the hour. The redheaded menace, Alexander Murdowski here. Lisa Maxwell, thank you so much. Guys, you guys need to thank Lisa, because if it wasn't for her, there would be no Midnight Radio here on YouTube. Okay, Greenville News. Check this out, guys. This has to do with the autopsy. Did you guys hear about the latest autopsy? We have a little bit of information. Of course, we're going to get drip, drop the information, but here we go now. Details of a recent autopsy of murder victim Stephen N. Smith are slowly emerging. The Smith family and the concerned public are still waiting for official results and answers in an 8-year-old unsolved killing that continues to rock the South Carolina lowland country and intrigue the world. So, the family is talking about how Sandy Smith launched a GoFundMe campaign to raise money for an exhumation and an independent autopsy of her son, and to hire new investigators and legal representation in hopes of sparking a new investigation. So that's exactly what they did. For those of you that don't know this case, the body was lying in the middle of Sandy Run Road on rural Hampton County line. Now, it was in the center of the road. It did not look like it'd been ran over. It did have blood shooting out of the head, matter shooting out of the head on the pavement, on the middle of the road. All right. There were no broken glass. There's no twisted metal. There was no, how do you say it? Removal of sections of the hair. You know what I mean? Like a scraping of the hair off. I want to partial scalping. That didn't exist. There weren't long track marks where someone tried to stop the vehicle. None of that. I've seen the photos. For those of you that are members, you can see the photos too. It's absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. But it was originally ruled a hit and run, and it was ruled a hit and run, not by the police. They actually said it looks like somebody beat this kid, or it looks like somebody shot this kid. And it was ruled a hit and run during the autopsy by the medical examiner, because she couldn't see any other way this would have happened. It was very, very odd. And something is very, very odd in this report relating to that, and that's why I brought it up in the way I just did. Now, after the exhumation and second postmortem analysis, that's right, the second postmortem analysis is now done. Here's what we know about the Stephen Smith autopsy so far, and it turns out it's not a hell of a lot. Buster Murdaugh spoke out, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. A spokesman for Bland Richter, okay, the Smith family, all right. For Bland Richter, the law firm representing the Smith family, confirmed that the vault containing Smith's remains was removed from Gooding Cemetery in Hampton County on Friday, March 31st. For the most part, this was done without alerting the media, said Bland. I think we knew about it. To protect the privacy of the family. The vault containing Smith's remains were transported by van and under police escort and protection to Tampa, Florida. Why Tampa, Florida? Why would they take it out of state? Is the defense going to use that? See, it's ridiculous. Things like this happen all the time. They're just sensationalizing what they want to. Anyway, it was taken to Tampa, Florida, where they were removed from the vault and exhumed. All right? Bland would not disclose the exact location except to say that it was a facility that specializes in autopsies. A Google search indicates that there are at least 3 such facilities in that city. Private Autopsy Services, Private Autopsy Florida, and Final Diagnosis Incorporated, the autopsy doctor. That sounds like something that would be on late night TV, doesn't it? The autopsy was conducted by experts hired by the Smith family. Okay, this is important. Dr. D. Michelle P. DePrue, D. Dan Schultz, and Dr. Heather Walsh-Haney, and viewed and photographed by law enforcement. Schultz is the founder of Final Diagnosis Incorporated in Tampa, so that's probably the one they used. The independent pathologist conducted the autopsy on Smith's remains over the weekend, and the body was returned to the grave by 3 p.m. on Sunday. On Sunday, Sandy Smith posted on her Justice for Stephen and Smith family page on Facebook that her baby is back in his final resting place. I now believe that Stephen can really rest at ease because SLED and our team are going to do everything possible to find out just how he died, Bland added. All right? Now, despite the age of the remains and the embalming process, the pathologists were able to perform a full and complete autopsy as if he had died yesterday. This is what they said, okay? Bland said Thursday that all the autopsy results would be released to SLED within the next week or so, and added that the results would likely not be released publicly at this time. SLED is knee-deep in a robust investigation into Stephen Smith's death and have asked us not to release the results publicly, all right? The autopsy was a success, so there is a conclusion to his death, a definitive one, and it included DNA tests, X-ray, bone analysis, and more. Bland did not know of the cause of death. Blunt force to the head had been confirmed yet. He didn't know if it had been. He said he didn't know if any foreign DNA had been found on the remains. Crime scene forensic expert Dr. Kenny Kingsley, who was not present at the autopsy but was hired along with a trio of pathologists to conduct the independent investigation, told multiple outlets, including NewsNation and People magazine, that the autopsy was a success and yielded new evidence. He said, I do know it was a success and they did collect evidence. All right, there's a part of this I'm disturbed about, and I'm going to go ahead and get to that. All right, SLED is committed to finding answers on how Stephen Smith died, added Bland. SLED also located previously missing pieces of evidence, including a rape kit conducted on Smith, which they say is typical procedure for such a death, and his blue paint chips found on his person. So they found the blue paint chips and the rape kit now. That's information. All right. Bland added that the exhumation, transportation, and autopsy operation was a team effort that involved everybody, and they did a bunch of handshaking and kissing each other's asses. Now, the GoFundMe was launched. Where's the weird part about this? Yeah, they're still kissing up. All right, so it's not in this article, but this was a real weird part of this. So take it with a grain of sugar or salt, whatever the hell you want to do, because this guy also said, they were also saying that the medical examiner that previously investigated, the death and said that it was a hit and run, did a really good job and followed procedure. This is one of the things that they determined. All right, they did release that. What the hell's that about? So they're going to say, oh, it was a hit and run. Sorry. And how does that change anything? Does it matter? I don't know. We don't know yet. But it's just weird that they took the time out of this investigation of doing the second autopsy and saying that the medical examiner who ruled it a hit and run before, and according to her boss, she acted unprofessionally and didn't work there anymore. She did a good job. All right. That was my takeaway from this. And I was like, what? What? All right. Here is a story about a police officer shooting another police officer when they were both off duty at a bar. But the reason why he shot them, well, I think you're going to have to view it for yourself right here.
Moments just before a James City County police officer shot his sergeant outside a Williamsburg bar.
Michael Rusk is facing charges in connection to that January shooting.
You guys heard about this?
Seriously hurt Sergeant Christopher Gibson. Investigators initially said the two officers got into a fight after a night of drinking. But as 10 on your side's Julie Millay learned, the shooting might have been about much more than a bar fight.
Yeah,
Julie?
Tom and Amy investigators
Might have been about booty.
Simply said the two officers involved in the shooting were known to each other. Now we're learning what that might really mean. The alleged shooter, Michael Rusk, says he pulled the trigger in self-defense because of unwanted advances by his sergeant.
What?
We're about to share exclusive surveillance video.
It wasn't because of unwanted advances. That's putting it mildly. It's about booty.
And the 911 call from the shooting, which we played for Michael Rusk's family for the first time. Would you like to hear it?
I'd love to hear it.
For the first time, Jason Rusk is hearing the 911 call his son made in the early morning hours of January 25th.
I shot Sergeant Gibson.
Do what?
I shot Sergeant Gibson. I pulled a gun at him and he's advancing on me.
Is he breathing?
He just fell out.
James City County police officer Michael Rusk called 911 after he allegedly shot his superior officer, Sergeant Christopher Gibson, outside a Williamsburg bar, where the two had been drinking together. Video given exclusively to 10 on Your Side shows the two officers before this happened.
I shot him in his right arm.
Okay, I need you to take a deep breath for me, okay? Is he breathing? Is he breathing?
I'm trying to save his life.
The 911 call goes on for just over 5 minutes. That's when responding officers show up to find Gibson had been shot 3 times, seriously hurt in his stomach and shoulder. Court documents show Gibson told officers Rusk shot him after a verbal argument. But Rusk, his dad, and his lawyers say it was much more than that.
It started to get creepy.
Jason Rusk says his son told him.
It started to get creepy. He advanced on me. Why would you shoot somebody because of that?
About unwanted attention he got from his superior officer leading up to the shooting, and that he had reported it to others on the force.
There was a year's worth of grooming that had taken place.
Rusk says his son is the victim of unwanted sexual advances and had been for a long time.
Extremely inappropriate touching, stalking, the grooming, the previous to the incident assaults.
We reached out to Gibson several times to ask him about these allegations. He declined to speak with us. We also requested
I'm glad he's alive. He shot him in the stomach and he shot him in the arm. Now, if he shot him in the nards, I'd kind of, that's horrible. But I would kind of say, okay, all right, well, it would make me believe the narrative more. This is just odd. Why would you shoot? Of course, they were drinking, so. And how would that make it better? I mean,
JCCPD, a record of any complaints filed against Gibson during his time there. We were denied. The video shows the officers at the bar prior to the shooting. You can see.
He went with him to the bar. He didn't have to go to the bar. There's something more to the story. This is what I'm saying. And this is so odd. So odd.
them sitting across from
Three
each other.
times. He shot him 3 times. Boom, clock, boom, boom. I don't know what kind of gun it was.
They're at the start. Then you'll see Gibson move in to sit next to Rusk. Gibson reaches for Rusk's hand under the table, which seems to be met with hesitation from the younger officer. Then, just about an hour before the shooting, the two are seen leaving together. After Gibson puts his hand on Rusk's shoulder, you see Rusk forcefully push him off and put a finger in his face before walking away. We don't know what happened next, but after the shooting, Rusk makes this claim to the 911 dispatcher.
I told him to stop. He kept going. I was like, rape me.
Okay, so was it a RAPE? Attempted RAPE? And why did he go to the bar with them if it was an ongoing problem?
Help me. Help.
If our client was a female, this case would be drastically different.
The hell it would. I'm going to have to... How would this be drastically different if it's a woman? Shot him. Okay, okay, let's talk about this. In the phone line, 325-261-0892. I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone lines in case you guys want to talk about this now. Hi, Bat Boy. I want to talk to you, Bat Boy. In case you guys want to talk about this, because I think you might. I know I do. I mean, because you guys, I'm sure have information I don't have. I mean, or knowledge I don't have. So would it be different as a woman? No means no. That's absolutely true. All right. There's a piece we're missing about this. He said he thought that he was going to get AR'd. We need to know what happened between the time he pushed him away and the point that he thought he was getting AR'd, or going to get AR'd. What if this was a woman and a man scenario? We would still be thinking the same thing. I would still be thinking the same thing. I would think, all right, there's a part of the information I'm missing. It was his superior. Why did he go drinking with him if he had had this problem with him before? And he was trying to get away. He did try to grab his arm. Okay, I see that. And I do think there's problems with this officer before. I'm not doubting that right now. All right, so what happened next?
Rusk's lawyer says the video and 911 call make a clear case for self-defense.
I think it'll show that certain steps weren't taken that needed to be taken.
Mm-hmm.
The attorney says those steps, like looking into Rusk's claims of unwanted sexual advances, could have prevented what Rusk's dad calls a tragedy, which will affect his son for the rest of his life.
He told people from the get-go that he was sexually assaulted. He said no, and he kept on. He said no, and he kept on.
He was sexually assaulted?
If I had a daughter in the same position, we wouldn't even be here. We wouldn't have an innocent person fighting for their freedom.
Williamsburg officers are investigating the shooting. They had no comment on this story. James City County Police also declined to comment. Calls to the prosecutor trying the case were unreturned. You can hear the complete 911 call on wavy.com. I'm Julie Millay, 10 on your...
On what.com? Wavy.com? The full 911 call. You guys want to hear the full 911 call? Is that wavy.com? I'm kind of nervous what I'm going to find on wavy.com. There it is, wavy.com. Copy link address, put it in here. Full 911 call. All right. Full 911 call. Because, okay, we didn't get all in that story, but there's only so much that can be said. All right, what was the name of this guy? James County JCD officer. Stop it. Nine. I don't think it's funny or anything. I'm not saying what he says isn't true about it being a possible R. He thought he was going to get R'd. I just want more evidence. I want to know the rest of the story is what I mean. Are you kidding me, guys? There's no information about this. All right. Bringing up the 911 call, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to make me read it? I'm not going to read it, guys. Oh, here we go. You guys ready? Got the volume up? I do. Here we go.
(911), where's your emergency? Hello?
This is 35.
Do what?
This is 35.
I'm sorry, I can't understand what you're saying.
This is 35.
This is 35?
Yes, go Deli.
You're at Paul's Deli?
Yes.
And this is 35?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Michael Ross, my badge number.
You did what?
My badge number.
What, your badge number is 35?
Yes, Michael Rusk. R-U-S-K.
And what's wrong?
I shot Sergeant Gibson.
Do what?
I shot Sergeant Gibson.
You shot Sergeant Gibson?
Yes.
How did you do that?
Let me see.
Wow. I don't know, but I'm not going to say anything, but I'm having issues with this 911 operator. But
Let me see, Sergeant Gibson. I pulled a gun and he's advancing on me.
And you're in Paul's Deli?
Yes, in the city of Williamsburg.
Is he breathing?
He just fell out. I'm
Okay.
trying.
Okay, where did you shoot him?
I shot him in his right arm.
You shot him in his arm?
Yes.
And you're inside. Okay, I need you to take a deep breath for me, okay? Is he breathing?
Crying.
Is he breathing?
I'm trying to save his life.
Okay, take a deep breath, because if he isn't, we need to start CPR.
I'm trying.
Where are you at in Paul's Deli? Hey, where are you at in Paul's Deli?
I'm trying to start CPR.
Okay, where are you at?
One of you all, I need you to come over here, please. One of you all, I need you to come here, please.
And you're in Paul's Deli?
Come here. I need you to start CPR him. Hurry. 30 suppressants at 2. Start CPR suppressants. 1.
Are you behind Paul's Deli?
5. Keep going. Is
someone doing CPR?
What was that?
Is someone doing CPR?
Yes. Hey.
Where's the weapon?
Start CPR.
Where's the weapon?
I want him to start CPR. Start CPR.
Who are you talking to?
I have a gun on me. Where? Here. You have it.
Is there an officer there?
CPR him. Hey. I'm a Giant City. I'm a Big City officer. No, back up. Start him. 1, 2, 3, 4. Are you okay, Chris?
He survived, by the way, just so you guys were wondering. The guy that got shot
God
survived.
damn it. Start on him, please. Start on him. Please start on him.
Lodi.
Hey, are they doing CPR, sir? Have they started? Hey, can you tell if he's breathing?
I can't tell. I can't tell.
Do you see any Randsburg officers? Do you see the Randsburg officers? Sir.
Yes.
Do you see the officers?
Yes, they're on scene.
Okay, I'm going to let you go. What's your name again?
Michael Rusk, or USK. They're starting CPR.
How did you shoot him?
What do you mean? I can't get up. He wasn't supposed to be here very well. He kept going.
Oh, Lordy. I'm going to rewind that.
What's your name again?
Michael Rusk, or USK. They're starting CPR.
How did you shoot him?
What do you mean? I can't get up. He wasn't supposed to be here very well. He kept going.
He wasn't supposed to go any farther, and he kept going.
He kept me going. I kept going. I told him this is how he kept going. I thought he was going to rape me. I
thought he was going to rape me. Hold on.
I kept going.
He kept going.
I told him this is how he kept going. I thought he was going to rape me. I thought he was going to rape me.
Okay. We got more information here.
Help me.
He told him to stop. He kept going. He thought he was going to R him.
Help! Help! I'm with you. Okay, I know an officer here. I'm going. I'm going. Take a breath. Were you shot?
Okay. All right. So there's more of the information we got from the 911 call. They couldn't give us. Yeah. I'm going to keep looking at this story to see what happens. And it's horrible. I'd say there's a case here for defense. I think they're going to look more into it and find out that this one particular officer has done this before. But the problem with it is if he's done this before and they've been covering it up, then the people that have been covering up, if they don't continue to cover it up, then they can get in trouble too. So more than likely they'll continue to cover it up. And this is a rookie, and this guy has been on this force doing this for a while, you know, kind of like the whole what Bill Cosby did. And the producers were covering for him for years. Top executives at CBS were covering it. Bill Cosby was the most prolific rapist in history. How about that? Did you know that? America's father, Bill Cosby, one of the most prolific rapists in history, and he got out because of a system which, I don't know, we'll see in this case what happens. The man was not murdered, so we'll see. We don't know the extent of his injuries right now. We don't know. This is a trial that I'd want to watch, you know, keep an eye on, because this is different. Almost uncharted territory. The phone lines are open right now if you want to call in and talk about any of the things we've gone over so far. We got some more things we're going to go over now. Right here on Midnight Radio, 325-261-0892. The phone number is 325-261-0892. Have you guys heard about this? There's a police investigation going on. I believe it's FBI. Yes. Because of a rap video showing people doing illegal things. You know, mainly on rap videos when all of it's fake. Well, apparently sometimes some of it's real.
Good evening. A major FBI bust turns up a trove of guns, drugs, and vehicles along with stacks of cash.
Turns out a music video helped the feds figure out what to look for when they raided 2 Albuquerque homes.
It's the same thing Brian Kohberger had, the dumbass. Apparently, been going around lately.
Guns, cars, expensive jewelry, and cash are among the images front and center in this video titled Heartless, apparently shot in a Mesa del Sol parking lot. Now, many of these items are at the center of a federal gang investigation after they popped up during an FBI raid last Thursday. This distinctive Polaris slingshot, for instance, matches one of the vehicles the feds seized when they searched a home near Rio Bravo and Isleta. Inside that home, they also found $12,000 in cash, drugs, guns, and thousands of dollars worth of jewelry.
Did they say $12,000? Like, that's it?
Including this necklace with a pendant in the shape of New Mexico. It matches the one the vocalist is wearing in the video that can also be seen on top of the stacks of $100 bills, along with a gold-colored counting machine, which also turned up during
that gold-plated counting machine is kind of cool.
The search. That's not all the feds and local law enforcement found at the home. That's where they arrested Jerry Bezzi, who's believed to be one of the men in that music video. The feds learned about the video from MDC's gang unit, which is part of the FBI's Violent Gangs Task Force. The FBI says this video even helped them figure out what to look for when they drafted their search warrants for the homes of Bezzi and Julian Leyba. The feds found Leyba at the other home they raided.
And the Dumbass of the Week award goes to
that
these
same
smacker
day
jackers
near Wyoming and Copper, finding a stolen AR-style rifle, other guns, and bulletproof vests. It's not clear whether any of the guns are the ones used in the music video, but a number of the production's other props are now in the custody of the FBI, and the two men, both convicted felons, behind bars.
Well, they had fun while they could.
Federal charges, including for being a felon with a gun. Bezzi is charged at the state level for drug trafficking and also being a felon with a gun.
All right, here's my question. All right. There are cases of, and just like this, there's, well, they said $12,000 they found. Oh, go away. $12,000 they found at that place, and all that money gets taken in by the FBI. There's also like a bunch of money in crypto from drugs. I mean, we're talking freaking billions, like that one case, Silk Road case. Amazing. We're talking billions of dollars flooding into the FBI. What the F do they do with it? It doesn't take that much money for the FBI, not as much as they pull in sometimes. So really, where does this freaking money go? Pisses me off because it's a lot more. It's about 10 times more than they need for their budget. So where the hell does it go? That's what the American people need to know. Where does it go? You know, you got to love it. Some of these foreign countries like Saudi Arabia, you know, they have these big oil deals, and the people, the citizens, get to share the money from it. In America, you don't get a damn thing. But taking it from you, I wouldn't be surprised if the FBI takes that money and burns it, you know, because they don't want it. Keep it out. They don't need it. They still get their money printed and give it to them from the government. What the hell happens to it? Anyway. Have you guys heard about this? There's a triple slaying. The victims were suspects. The victims were really young. One of the suspects was 12 years old. All right. They found them recently. Hunter Biden was in one of those videos. All right, check this out, guys. I think they'll recap it for us right here.
You've never seen anything like this before. A 12-year-old just arrested for murder is marched shirtless and in cuffs to a waiting car. Then a second suspect gets the same treatment, only he has a shirt on. He's 17. Despite the suspects' ages, the two perp walks were videotaped by the sheriff's department and posted on Facebook.
We do not hold our juveniles accountable we minimize their actions.
The pair were charged with the slaying of 3 teens at Ocala National Forest that spread fear outside Orlando that a serial killer was on the loose. Police are also searching for a 3rd suspect, aged 16. One victim, 16-year-old Layla Silvernail, was found shot on the side of the road. The next day, a 17-year-old boy was also found dead half a mile away. Police have not released his name. Then on April 1st, the 3rd victim, 16-year-old Camille Quarles, was found dead in the trunk of a submerged car in a pond at the national park. It turns out cops say all 6 young people, victims and suspects, knew each other and were in the car together when the murders took place.
At some point, these 3 individuals turned on our 3 victims and murdered them.
Marion County Sheriff Billy Woods announced the arrest today at a press conference that's causing a lot of controversy.
Each and every one of them, in some shape or form, is associated with a gang.
That was the craziest, most unhelpful press conference.
But Fox News defended him.
And he spoke out, and I think he spoke for America.
They took a life without thought. They deserve the full extent of the law.
All right. I'm glad they caught him. I'm glad they were caught. I got more for you. All right, here we go. But I don't have the audio up because it took it down.
Suspect accused of killing the man encased in concrete below a home believed the victim was a police informant. The arrest affidavit shows the suspect, Haskell Crawford here, had stolen. Police say the second suspect accused of killing the man encased in concrete below a home believed the victim was a police informant. The arrest affidavit shows the suspect, Haskell Crawford here, had stolen catalytic converters with the victim before becoming suspicious and ultimately killing him. The report indicates the victim's mother called police after getting a direct message on Facebook saying her son was buried in the first suspect's crawl space.
You know, recently I didn't see or read it. I heard about somebody stole the catalytic converter from the Wienermobile. Man, brazen.
After Crawford murdered him. The first suspect is Casey Bach, Crawford's ex-girlfriend. Crawford is already in the Jefferson County Jail for another crime, but now he has to face a warrant for this murder.
Lordy mercy. I mean, you think, oh, I'm just stealing catalytic converters. Well, things can get bad. Things can get bad right away, can't they? All right. I want to continue with this story, but falling in, I got a little bit more going on right here. And apparently there may or may not have been meth involved. So you guys know about the shooting that happened in Nashville. Well, I'm following the story. I got a little bit more information on it, or what's being said lately about it. So not really an update. Maybe just keeping it in the news. But I do have, hold on, let me check something out real quick. I do have, bringing this up because I do have something. Okay, yeah, I got something good about this after the. So here's an update. The phone lines are open if you want to call me, by the way, 325-261-0892. For those of you that are watching and haven't yet, please subscribe and hit that like button. It helps us out. A lot of you hit the like button. It gets the show out, you know. It doesn't make much sense to me how we can have thousands and thousands of subscribers, but not a lot of people watching the videos. What the hell? It's because people aren't hitting the thumbs up. If you like it, you know, help us out. Hit that thumbs up. All right, so let's talk about Audrey Hill. I'm kind of confused about this. You know, there's been, and I haven't watched it. All right, I'm the news that I watch, okay? I don't get it from the mainstream media at all, except for Ashley. We're good like that. So I've heard one side talking about the other, saying they're making it about transgenderism, trying to make people scared of transgenderism. And then I hear from the other side that there's a problem about transgender people being weaponized by the other party. And I'm not here to talk about that. I don't know if that's all the intricacies of that, I think. But that's what's being said by both sides. They're waiting for the manifesto to be released. The manifesto has not been released before. There are two things about the manifesto. Donald Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., he tweeted something a bit about the manifesto, and it has been verified according to the police in Nashville, whether that's true or not. And there's also been a leaked manifesto that was forged on, guess what, 4chan, that was going around that's not correct. So there's that too. All right, but here's the actual information we do have, and then we're going to talk about a possible way to prevent school shootings, all right? And, you know, you got to admit that the way the laws are set up, the government has a monopoly on violence. According to the way the laws are set, they're allowed to, you know, kill you, but you're not allowed to do anything to protect yourself, right? No. So a lot of people are saying that increased gun laws aren't the answer. It's already illegal to kill people. You just have to make it harder or impossible, right? And you saw from the video that Audrey or Aiden is, I was going to mention that because before it was taken down, she had a personal, portfolio of her work on there, and it was under the name Aiden Hell, all right? So why is all the mainstream media, right and left, center, and all saying Audrey Hell? I mean, isn't that not the name and the pronouns that she would or he would want to use? I mean, is there something that we don't know in the manifesto? I don't know. I just find that a question that I don't have an answer to. Maybe we will, but let me continue here. So you know about Audrey Hell that killed 6 individuals, 3 students, 3 adults. All right. The ongoing investigation shows that she acted totally alone. In the collective writings by Hell found in her vehicle in the school parking lot and others later found in the bedroom of her home, which was her parents' house. She documented in journals her planning over a period of months to commit mass murder at the Covenant School. The update noted the writings by Hell remain under investigation by officials with MNPD and the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit. However, Hell's motive currently remains unknown. But the update, do you guys believe that the motive remains unknown if they have the freaking manifesto? It remains unknown for us, but not for them. But the update added that it is known that Hell considered the actions of other mass murderers. Okay. You know, one of these things that's hard for me is when I go through these stories, and I go through them every day, whether I'm on air or not, is, and you guys do too, we have these dead people here today, and some of us are reading this, and some people in the audience are reading this, and some of the people reading about these school shootings or hearing about these school shootings, they're next, and they don't know it yet. Isn't that hard to think about? You could be the next victim, and you're hearing about victims. That's rough. All right. After the shooting. Oh, wait. Students gathered to make sure memorial. Hell, the 28-year-old mass shooter who killed 6 individuals at the private Christian elementary school last month had a manifesto that detailed month-long plans to commit the attack. After the shooting, Hell was identified as the suspect who killed 3 students and 3 adults. Hell was identified by police as transgender. They keep bringing this up. was fatally shot by, I feel like people are getting gaslit. Transgender. You know, what the hell is up with this? This is media messaging right here. I mean, I know because I'm a writer, and that you, by the way, you guys, you learn how to do this. After the shooting, Hell was identified as the suspect who killed 3 students and 3 adults. And they keep saying transgender. It's like when there's a serial killer, they say white male. And then they complain about people, you know, complaining about them saying white male, and back and forth. A LinkedIn profile for Hell had he, him pronouns, but the news isn't reporting that on either side. It's not saying that here. However, it doesn't know at the time what role this may have played in the shooting. But when they report this, they're using her. It's like they're trying to trigger people. The victims of the shooting were previously identified as Evelyn DeCas, Haley Scruggs. 3 other adult victims were identified. Okay, we know the victims. Somebody in the chat room is saying, I need to see more video footage on that one. It doesn't seem real. If you'd like to see more footage of that, go to midnightrad.io. Look on my DJ page, and I put the full video there, unedited. All right, so Chief John Drake confirmed that officials recovered a manifesto written by Hell. However, shortly after Drake's comments, speculation arose online. Some online users, including Donald Trump Jr., shared an alleged portion of the manifesto. Let me see what happens if I open this link. All right, not much. All right. So one of the conversations going on right now is everybody's talking about Susan in the chat room. Susan, and I don't see a Susan. Are you guys talking about Discord? Is there something going on in Discord? They're saying I should play the Brian Kohberger rap to summon the spirit of Susan. Well, wherever Susan is, I hope she's having a happy Easter, everybody. I hope she is. Here's some of the comments to this. This case is a prime example of why we need well-armed and well-trained school guards, and arming those teachers willing and capable of being certified, well-trained, and prepared. When someone has months to plan a mass shooting, the sign in the parking lot proclaiming a gun-free school zone will not stop them. Only good people, well-trained, with their guns on campus, can stop mass killers in time and save the children's lives. Guns save lives. George Michael. And before all the guards can be recruited, trained, and placed, replace the gun-free zone signs with ones that say, warning, grounds are monitored by armed personnel. And then timekeeper says, guns save lives, just not in the wrong hands. We can arm them all. Best keep them out of the school. Even armed teachers would be shot at. The amateurs who attack soft targets are not well trained. If ever a real mean, highly trained special attacks, even armed teachers would not stand a chance. Armed at the locked front door, no matter. I hate to tell you guys this, but I watched the video, and the people that went in there that shot the perpetrator weren't that well trained. She was worse, but they weren't that great. They weren't taking cover. They ran right towards it. They weren't sticking to the walls. They were really high instead of being low as you would want to be. So somebody who shot before and been shot at, I'm telling you, they weren't low enough, and they should have had more coverage. But here's something that has recently come to my attention. I want to bring it to yours. This, let me get rid of this commercial from these jacker smackers. We don't want that. All right, check this out. This is a proposal right here, and it's a bulletproof classroom shelter is what it is. Check this out. You put it in the corner of the room, it integrates in the room, and the teacher can pull it out. It takes a total of 10 seconds in every schoolroom, and look. Boom.
You can see here there's no handle on the outside. So in the event of an emergency, a teacher or administrator is able to close the door and lock it so the students are kept safely inside.
What do you guys think about that? An Alabama school has introduced a bulletproof classroom to better protect students and teachers in the case of an active shooting emergency. Coleman City Schools West Elementary in Alabama has installed rapid deploy safe room systems in 2 of its classrooms. Only 2. I guess they're going to have to, hustle the kids into those 2 different rooms. The designer made it in response to the shooting at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas last year. 19 students and 2 teachers died while 17 others were injured. The design incorporates a fold-out room that extends with a whiteboard featuring bulletproof walls. The safe room can be pulled out and assembled within 10 seconds. All right. Do you guys think that's a good idea? Also, bulletproof glass. And I believe that the government, how about they take all that damn money that the FBI takes when they arrest people, drug lords and what, to do rap videos, take that and use it to protect our children at school. I mean, it can happen. It's a really good idea. I'm not sure how many kids would fit in the room, but really look at what we're looking at. How hard would it be to make this? All right. It's not hard at all. You can contract other companies and make it cheaper. I bet we could get some from China really easy. Really easy. I mean, I know how to stop a damn bullet. You can fill that up, have it hollow and fill it with sand. I mean, there's so many different things you could do. So many different things you could do. It needs to happen. Maybe it'll tell us how many kids can get in here. Our goal here is to give every kid an opportunity to go home in the evening. What we have is a way to save kids. I don't want to be here. It's crazy, but somebody's got to do it. The parents on that board over there, those 19 from Uvalde and the spouses of the teachers, say don't let this go anywhere. Make it count, and that's what we're going to do. I can't control policies. I don't control gun control. I don't control mental illness. I don't control any of that. I'm not a policymaker. What we do have control over is the ability to make things that are innovative in the meantime. While we fix the bigger issues, we are going to do the same. We're going to do that here and now. Why doesn't the government put money to do something like this instead of pissing it off with wars? All right? Because they put their money where they want it to be. They don't make money. They don't get elected having gun control. They only make money and they get elected by talking about it. And they don't really care. Not that would help anyway. All right, what do we got here? This is interesting. This is, meanwhile, our segment. I guess it's a segment now. I like to call. Meanwhile, in Australia.
A handwritten letter pleading for mercy from one of Australia's most depraved killers.
The letter's astounding. He seems to have no consideration for the families that he bereaved.
Robert Wagner, convicted of 10 of the so-called bodies in the barrels murders, has launched a bid for freedom, using his own son as a reason to be released. I have been in custody since he was 18 months old and would very much like the chance to spend time with him in the community. Wagner was sentenced to life imprisonment without parole for his role in the gruesome 90s killings, uncovered when 8 bodies were found in barrels hidden inside a bank vault at Snowtown in the state's mid-north. Now, after spending less than 2 decades in custody, Wagner wants a non-parole period set. The 48-year-old who ate the flesh of his last victim penning a letter as part of his case. My behaviour in prison has been reasonably good. I am eager to continue with my good behaviour so that I can progress through the system.
I'm sure many of the victims' families are going to be absolutely appalled and find this abhorrent.
The Premier quick to reassure the public Wagner won't be released anytime soon.
We'll do whatever it takes to make sure that the people of South Australia remain free from risks.
Wagner began his bid for freedom in December last year when he asked court officials to send him the form to set a non-parole period. His application will be heard for the first time here at the Supreme Court on Monday. The outcome to be closely watched by those lives Wagner ruined.
This man is so bad, he shouldn't get that opportunity. For life should mean for life.
Tom Angley, 9 News.
Another potential blow for the Liberal Party this morning, with former PM Scott Morrison set to quit politics. That move would force another by-election.
All right, we don't care about that. Check this out. Have you guys heard about this? Oh man, I know Grant probably has. A man jailed in South Australia's infamous Snowtown Bodies in the Barrel murders in the 1990s has penned a letter asking to be released from prison so he can spend time with his child. I think his child's 18 now. Was a brand new baby when he first got arrested. He's 47 and he's serving 10 consecutive life sentences in relation to the killing. Spreen has applied to the Supreme Court to have a non-parole period set. And as you read this, it keeps getting weirder and weirder and weirder. The Snowtown murders shocked the nation and forever changed the reputation of a peaceful little town 140 kilometers north of Adelaide. As part of Wagner's application to have a time set for his eventual release from prison. I guess this is just any time set. He's asking for any time. And he's talking about the letter that he wrote. I'm a father of a 21-year-old son. Guess this is a guy right here. Robert Joe Wagner stands handcuffed next to a court sheriff outside the house. I've been in custody since he was 18 months old and would very much like a chance to spend some time with him. All right. I pled guilty to 3 counts of murder, which I hope is also to be taken into consideration with this request. Wagner's letter ended. All right. But check this out. This is when he was young. I think that is, 2 of the victims. Okay. It's not showing us what they look like when they were younger. This is such an odd story. Such a very odd story. Leave him there to rot. Hello, Daisy. Good to see you. It's good to have people from Australia here. You guys have some really interesting crime stories going on. Very terrifying. Now, here's where it starts. You start getting the story and it starts freaking you out. The ringleader in the murders, John Justin Bunting, 52, is also serving life without parole. On May 20th, 1999, police entered a disused bank vault to discover 6 plastic acid-filled barrels containing the remains of 8 separate murder victims. Although the motive for the murders is unclear, the killers were led to believe by Bunting that their victims were homosexuals, pedophiles, or weak in some way. The grisly deaths were in most cases preceded by torture, with efforts made to extract Centrelink payments and bank account details. The killer's final victim was David Johnson, who was age 24. He was murdered on May 9th, 1999. His body found on May 20th, 1999. As a final indignity, the killers hacked some flesh from his right thigh, fried it up, and shared it out. Details of the cannibalism revealed by James Vlasics during a confidential police interview were publicly released in 2005 when the South Australian Supreme Court ruled they were no longer prejudicial to the case. Bunting, Wagner, and Vlasics were charged and eventually convicted over the murder in a 12-month trial, which is one of the longest in Australia's history. Vlasics was a key witness for the Crown, providing evidence that helped convict Bunting as a ringleader of the perpetrators. Bunting was eventually convicted on 11 murder charges and sentenced to life without parole for each one. When Wagner was sentenced by Justice Brian Martin, he rose his feet in the dock and stated pedophiles were doing terrible things to children. The authorities didn't do anything about it, and I decided to take action. I took that action. Thank you. Now, how can you believe that? I mean, so you're going to take a pedophile, cut skin off his leg and eat it? That's hard to believe. It seems like it was some kind of cult. It seems like they were doing some kind of drugs. It seems complete and utter horse shit. I mean, I'm sure the people of Australia don't believe it. Daisy White saying, I think they should rot. I believe that's the sentiment. And if he wants to know what time he's going to be released, then he doesn't need to worry about it because he's not going to be released anyway. So they recently released a movie about this on Netflix. A lot of stories I've been looking at this week. It's called Snowtown. So check that out on Netflix. And they also killed a woman. Oh, okay. Wow. You don't think they're on drugs? Wow. What would, if they weren't on drugs, what would make somebody cannibalize somebody's body? That's my question. If it wasn't some kind of ritual, why would you do that? I mean, there's a reason. I don't know what it is. If you guys have any ideas, Lynette Dawson's case is probably my favorite case. Let me check that out. Lynette Dawson. I'd like to thank our executive producer, Lady Lisa, for helping bring this episode to fruition, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be able to do this. I have several interviews that are forthcoming. I'll let you know when those are scheduled and what topics they are, at least 24 hours in advance, or 12 hours, the morning of, as soon as I can. All right? I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in today. I'm going to slap you with one of these. Thank you for tuning in tonight. I appreciate it. This has been Midnight Radio. I'm your host, Gerald Schmimmins. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. If you have the comment or question, you can email me at midnightrad.io101@gmail.com. That is midnightrad.io101@gmail.com. Go to our website, midnightrad.io, and you can check out our radio station. Why have you not been listening to our radio station? We have the best music anywhere that you could possibly ever get anywhere. Should be thousands, hundreds of thousands of you guys on there right now. I guess you guys like commercials. I don't know. We'll be back probably Monday. Definitely not on Easter. Until next time, all my best. Oh, yeah, one more thing before I go here. I'd like to let you know that tonight is Saturday night. You know what? Wait, it's not Saturday. Is it Saturday? It is Saturday. You know what that means? It means that Gen X radio show with Johnny Vincent is going to be on tonight. Here in about 21 minutes it's going to be on. So, guys, I've got a preview of it, of what he's going to do. I'm telling you, It's a really good show. You're going to want to tune in for that. And actually, he's doing some kind... If you check out his page on midnightrad.io, check out his DJ page, because he has some kind of giveaway going on right now. There's a contest there. So you guys want to check that out. midnightrad.io. Check out Generation X Radio Show. Thank you guys. Have a good night.